lovelies, welcome to our very first video tutorial on the blog. Today, I'm going to show you a really simple project. We are going to paint wooden oars. You're going to need Americana Premium Paints. I love these paints. They have a medium body to them, so they're really thick and get great coverage. You're also going to need a wooden oar. You can grab these on Amazon. They're really inexpensive. You're going to need some painter's tape, some paint palettes, paintbrushes of course, and then I'm going to show you some tricks on using painter's tape for stenciling. So for that, we're going to use a craft knife, a self-healing mat, a ruler, and then this little guy right here is a scraping tool that I used on my Cricut, but it's great for painter's tape as well. Let's get started. The first thing we need to do is tape off the design on our oar. I'm going to start with a super simple design that you can easily follow along with. I have my painter's tape, and what I'm going to do is first tape off the bottom with a length of painter's tape. Just like that. Easy enough, right? Then I want to create kind of a chevron here, so I'm going to tape that off using that same tape. And I'm just kind of eyeballing the center. You don't have to be perfect. This is handmade. Get it as close to perfect as you can. So there we go. I've taped off kind of a chevron shape, but I need to trim off the edges, and this is how I do it. I'm going to grab my ruler and line it up with the edge of my painter's tape. Then I'll grab my craft knife and gently, you don't want to cut too hard, trim it off, just like that. Now, it's time for the paint, my favorite part. I selected a palette of 6 colors of paint. How beautiful are these colors? I love how bright and vibrant they are. Grab a paintbrush. I like to use a paintbrush here rather than a foam brush. It just seems to give a better finish. Then go ahead and dip your paintbrush and load it up in the paint. Here's the thing, when you're painting a crisp line, here's a tip. Listen, listen. I like to go over the line once, just kind of in a parallel way to the way that the tape is positioned on the board. That way it kind of gives me a security line, and it's more likely that the paint won't seep under the tape. I just finished painting the bottom portion of my oar, and I like to peel off the stencil tape immediately. That way it doesn't dry and I don't risk chipping off pieces when I peel it off later. So I'm going to go ahead and peel this off, and we're going to reveal that beautiful line. Here's a tip. I want you to peel toward your painting. This makes it less likely that you're going to get little stringies of paint on the edge. There we are. Just about perfect. Now it's time to set this aside to dry. We're going to paint the second step once this blue layer is dry to add more definition and color to this painted oar. You guys, shh, don't tell anybody. Sometimes I get really impatient and I use a heat gun to speed up the drying process. I'm not good at waiting for paint to dry. The paint is all dry. I can put my hand on it, so now it's time to add more colors. Here's how it's done. Stay tuned for some awesome tips. Grab your painter's tape and peel off a piece that's about the length of your cutting mat. My tape is 1 inch long, so I'm positioning it between 2 lines on my cutting mat, like this, and cutting it just at the bottom where I still can see some of the hash marks. Now, I'm going to grab my ruler and position it right in between using the 2 lines on the top and bottom to make sure I'm right in the center. Now with my craft knife, I'm going to gently pull, and now I have 2 thin strips of painter's tape. Why is this important? Because now I can make thinner stripes on my project. With that thick painter's tape, I was going to end up with thick stripes, and I didn't want those. Let's go. I'm just layering the tape right on top of the color to make thin stripes all in a row. I think I want about 3 or 4. I've aligned those tape strips so that I have 3 exposed lines, and here is where this tool comes in handy. I like to use it to really kind of burnish in that painter's tape. And because I'm painting on top of an already painted surface, it's important because sometimes that tape wants to lift off of a painted surface, and that is not what we want. For the final step, I'm going to add a bit of tape here on the edge of the painted line because I'm going to paint this chevron right up to the edge. So beautiful! Oh my gosh, how easy was that? I'm ready to start on a few more designs. Check out the other tape patterns that I created. Look how these beautiful wooden painted oars turned out. This is the one we made together, and these two are the ones that I made off screen, but I love how they look as a group. You can get crazy with whatever color combinations or stencil patterns you wish to make, but the one we made together is really simple, so that's a great place to start. I added a little detail to each of the handles just for an extra bit of color. Up to you. You don't have to do that if you don't want to. And now it's time to hang them up. To do that, I'm just going to use some 3M hanging strips. They won't do any damage to your wall because these aren't heavy. They'll be easy to hang up. Just turn it over and place the double-sided adhesive onto your oar. I'm going to place one here and one here. And then we're going to go hang them up in the wall.